Hi boys and girls. Today we're going to be continuing our study of probability by looking at events and outcomes. So to refresh ourselves, probability is the chance that a given event will occur in an experiment. So when you do a random experiment, for example, flipping a coin for heads or tails, or rolling a dice or spinning a spinner, probability is finding out what the chance of a certain outcome or landing on a certain number or heads or tails would be. So we're going to do a random experiment together, and I'll show you an example of what probability looks like. So if I had a brown paper bag and I had three colored cubes, I had a yellow cube, a red cube, and a green cube, and I put all of the cubes in the bag, I want to know what is the probability of picking out each cube or picking out a particular color. So for example, we see my three colored cubes in my bag. Can anyone tell me what is the probability of picking out a green cube? Well, first of all, we have to know the total. Well, I know that I have three cubes in the bag, so my number of possible outcomes is 3. So our 3 goes on the bottom. So you'll notice our probability is written like a fraction. So on the bottom we have the number of possible outcomes. On the top we write the number of favorable outcomes. So for example, what is the chance of me pulling out a green cube? The chance is 1 out of 3, okay? Because there is only one green cube out of the 3 cubes. So I want to know if I put that cube back into the bag each time after I draw, would the probability change? So if I put my cube back into the bag and I want to draw again, would my probability change? Well, the answer is no. There are still 3 cubes in the bag, and the chance of me drawing out a green cube is still 1 out of 3. Okay, the chance of me drawing out yellow is 1 out of 3. The chance or the probability of me drawing red is 1 out of 3. So if I put my cube back into the bag every time, my probability would not change. The probability for drawing yellow, red, and green each is 1 out of 3. Well, the same thing goes for a dice. The probability does not change. We know that a dice has 6 sides. So every time you roll the dice, you have the same chance. Of my 6 sides, each side has a different number. So the chance of rolling a 2 is 1 out of 6. My chance of rolling a 3 is 1 out of 6. And when we roll, the sides are never eliminated. They never go away. They're always there. So the probability does not change. Even if I just rolled a 1, I could roll a 1 again, just like what we just saw. The same thing goes for flipping a coin. You have heads on one side, you have tails on the other, and it doesn't matter how many times you flip it, your chance is still going to be what? Exactly, 1 out of 2. Okay, well now we're going to look at a different situation, a different scenario. So what happens if you do not replace the cube in the bag after picking it out? Does the probability of choosing a certain color change? Why or why not? So right now we see that I have 5 cubes in my bag. So the probability of choosing any of those numbers is 1 out of 5. Each of the cubes has the same chance of being pulled. So we're gonna record the cubes that I pull. So my first time pulling out of the bag, I get a pink cube. So I'm gonna write that down. So now that I've pulled out that pink cube and written it down in my chart, my pink cube is done. I am not putting it back in the bag. So for my second pull, is my probability going to be the same or is it going to be different? Well, first of all, is there any chance of me pulling out a pink cube? No, there's no chance at all. The probability is 0 out of 4 because there are no longer any pink cubes in the bag, okay? Well, what is my chance of pulling out a red cube? Is my probability still 1 out of 5, like it was last time? No, The answer is no, it is not 1 out of 5, because if we count, there are only 4 cubes in the bag now. So now my probability has gotten better. The chances of me pulling out a green cube or a red cube or a purple or yellow cube are 1 out of 4. And each of these cubes has the same probability. So let's go ahead and draw again, and we're going to record our results. So this time I drew and I got a purple. So I'm going to write that down in my chart right here, and notice I'm not putting the purple back into the bag. All right, so I first drew out pink, then I drew out purple. In my bag, you can see that we only have green, red, and yellow left. So I want to know, do I have a better chance of pulling out red now than I did in the beginning, or do I have a worse chance? Well, you're right. We have a better chance because there are only 3 left. So the chances of pulling out a red or pulling out a yellow or a green are 1 out of 3. So in this random experiment, if we're not replacing the cubes each time, you'll notice that your chances or your probability gets better every time. So if we draw again, this time I got a red, okay? Next time, my probability of pulling a green would be 1 out of 2, okay? That's a good chance. That's a 50-50 chance. And finally, my last draw, the chances of me pulling a yellow cube are 1 out of 1. It's a 100% chance that I will get yellow because there are no other cubes left in the bag. So your outcome significantly changes if you're not putting the cubes back in the bag. So unlike a dice, which you cannot change, or unlike a coin, which you cannot change, it always has 2 sides, this type of random experiment is different, and you can affect the outcome. So to wrap up our lesson for tonight, probability is the chance that a given event will occur in an experiment. Okay, an experiment is, oh geez, I forgot my E. An experiment is like what we just did, drawing cubes out of a bag, or flipping a coin, or rolling a dice. That's a random experiment. When we roll a dice or we put the cubes back in the bag, the probability does not change. If you choose to not put something back in the bag, then you can have a different event and a different outcome. So I hope you took good notes, and we will be practicing these experiments in class tomorrow. All right, good evening.